God bless you. Thank you for joining me again as we're tracking Jesus this third day, Palm Sunday being the first day, Monday being the second day, and Tuesday being the third day. Yesterday, on the end of the second day, we noticed that Christ had went into the temple and turned over the tables and chased out the money changers, went back to Bethany. We pick up Tuesday morning. Jesus is leaving Bethany. Some of the scriptures that we have that help us keep our bearings would be Matthew chapter 21 through 24. Then we have Mark 11. And then again we have Matthew chapter 26. Those scriptures help us to kind of gather our bearings. Jesus leaves Bethany. And his disciples are with him. His disciples notice that the tree that was cursed is now withered. They ask a question about it, and Christ gives a very simple lesson. He simply says to them, have faith. I better pause there and say to us that we need to have faith through this coronavirus. Jesus says to the disciples, have faith. He goes on to tell them, he said, if you have unbelieving faith, if you have believing faith and undoubting faith, is what I'm trying to say, then you can say to the mountain, be cast into the sea. The same kind of faith applies to us today. Jesus keeps going, and he goes in now to the temple. As he gets to the temple, there's a crowd of people there, and Jesus begins to start his teaching, and the chief priests, the scribes, and the elders have all gathered. And in their gathering, they've gathered, and they're ready to make their move. They're getting ready to try to trap or trick Jesus. The first way they tried to trick him is they asked him this tricking question. They asked him, by what authority did you go into the temple and turn over the tables and chase out the money changers? And who gives you the authority to do that? Jesus, knowing it was a trick, so he asked them a question in return. He said to them, do you believe in John the Baptist? They knew that it was a trick question as well, because they knew if they said that no, they didn't believe in him, then the people would be upset. Or if they said yes, then the next question would follow. Then if you believed in him, that he came from heaven, then why didn't you follow him? Why didn't you believe the God that he talked about? So they were put aside. The next question that comes now from the Pharisees and the Herodians, they come to attack Jesus and to trick him about taxation. They asked, is it lawful to be taxed of Caesar? Jesus, again, knowing it was a trick, and he says to them, he says, yes. He says, render to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God. The expression helps us to remind ourselves that everything belongs to God. And so we ought to render to him thanks for another day. We ought to give him praise for yet another day. So they were unable to trick him about taxation. Then comes the Sadducees. The Sadducees came to Jesus. Now remember, they didn't believe in the resurrection. They didn't believe in the resurrection. So they asked a question concerning marriage. They said to him, will there be marriage in heaven? Jesus said to them, because knowing it was a trick, he said to them that you don't understand the scripture. There's neither given to marriage or marriage in heaven. Because of the fact that God is a God of the living. He's a God of the living, and there is no sense of affirmation, because Christ is self-existing. He's self-existing, and the glory belongs to God. They were unable again to trick him. The next question comes to them from these Pharisees again. These Pharisees talk about the law. They were scholars of the law, and they wanted to trick Jesus about the law. So they asked Jesus, they said, teacher, what is the greatest commandment? The Lord, knowing it was a trick question, he again answered them and simply said to them that love is the greatest commandment. Because we're commanded to love God and to love our neighbor. He realized that they were trying to trick him, and they knew that Jesus was smarter than them. He knew their questions. He goes on to pronounce to them that they are hypocrites and blind guides. He gives them 7 woes. He reminds them of who they are. Christ is a long day. They've tried to trick him. They brought everything they could up to him, trying to get him to either be in fault with the government or either get him to deny God. He's not able to do so. They were unable to do so. He leaves now, been a long day, heads back to Bethany. But he stops in the Mount of Olives for rest. Now we know the Mount of Olives is a grove that was filled with olives, and so it's called the olive. Also, if we had time, we talk about the Olivet Discourse. The Olivet Discourse is Christ's teaching in the olives. He talks to them about things that are soon to come. He talks to them about how the marvelous buildings that they see, all of the great, the huge stones they see. Christ said not one of these stones will be left unturned. A good thing for us to know is that the end was not coming then for them. This is 2020. End has not come yet, so that wasn't the end. Although Jerusalem was going to be destroyed, that is not the end. I say to us today that our lesson is that in coronavirus and maybe an impending recession or whatever it may looks like doom to us, it's not the end. Just in those days, they were birth pains, and so they are today. Just birth pains. They're beginning trials, although there is love waxing cold and wars and rumors of wars. Those things are simply reminding us that one day Christ is going to come. One day it will be the end. So our job is to be faithful. Remember, Jesus told the disciples, have faith, have faith. If you have that kind of undoubting faith, you can say to the mountain, be removed into the sea. Christ will go back to Bethany. On his way back to Bethany, he will give them some stirring news. He'll tell them in the 26th chapter of the book of Matthew, he'll tell them that the Son of Man will be handed over to be crucified. And so we come to the end of Tuesday. Let me leave you with this. The world cannot trick our Christ. He knows everything. He's already in our tomorrow. He knows how to bless us. Our job is to be faithful in the midst of where we are. God bless you. We'll start again tomorrow on Wednesday.